Nacho Leber, Ben Leber, is with 9 to noon each and every Thursday. And at Nacho Leber is where you find him via the tweet machine. Twin Cities Live is where you can watch him 3 to 4:30 each and every weekday on Channel 5. The NFL Draft is a month from today, and there is plenty on which to opine. However, perhaps the A topic locally outside of Major League Baseball beginning today, it's opening day for the Minnesota Twins, is something that just popped, courtesy of the Minnesota Timberwolves with a release. Glenn Taylor, chairman of Taylor Sports Group, the general partner of Minnesota Timberwolves Basketball Limited Partnership, this morning confirmed the expiration of the option of Mark Lowry and Alex Rodriguez to acquire controlling interest in the Timberwolves and the Lynx.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
Good morning, Ben.
Good morning. Go on.
I guess my first question after, and then Norda will carry us through some of the particulars, is does A-Rod still get those rock star seats?
I always love that one.
I thought about that too. I'm like, what happens now?
Right across from the bench. I mean, they're courtside. Yeah, where does he go? Like 5 rows behind. I mean, Lowry too. I haven't seen Lowry at a lot of games this year, and maybe now we're figuring out why. But this is this a shocker? And the reason I ask is because maybe I missed this in the news cycle, but I wouldn't be the only one to miss it. But there were some problems, like with the Rodriguez Lowry investment group or something, like 2 months ago or something.
More recent than that, actually.
Is it more recent?
Yeah, earlier this month.
Yep. And so I chatted with somebody, not with the Wolves, but somebody who works with a partnership with the Wolves, and basically was told, like, nah, it's going to be cool. Everything's going to be good until this release comes out, and good morning.
Well, and good morning. And the funny thing is, sounds like there's been more information more recently, but I'd even heard, say 2 months ago, that I was talking about this with some people in private circles, and we were talking about the Timberwolves and just the names got brought up, Rodriguez, Lowry, and somebody in the group was like, I wouldn't be shocked if this whole thing falls through. I'm like, what do you mean fall through? I'm like, isn't it a done deal? Like, I don't really know. I'm not paying all that much attention. They're like, no, it sounds like they're having issues securing the money enough to buy the controlling stake. And I'm like, even I was like at the time, like, they'll find the money. Like,
yeah.
It's the two prominent people. Like
right.
they got to know some people, like some investment group, whatever. They'll figure it out. Because I was always under the assumption, the way that they've sort of weaved themselves in and just like became part of what you think about when it comes to front office and ownership of the Timberwolves. I'm like, it's gonna happen. The guy's at a bunch of games. He's right there courtside. Like, everybody kind of now is associated to him and his group with taking over. Like, it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Guess not.
I bet you neither. I bet you both don't go to a game the rest of the season.
I don't. It seems like something me personally would be so embarrassed about that I wouldn't want to be out in public.
Right.
Even though it sounds like in Nordo you can back us up, they still have some sort of percentage of the team, right? There's still some sort of minority owner of the team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they have some of it. So going back to the money issue, and I believe because they came in. That was the idea. They buy in as minority stakeholders, and then they work their way up financially to that final controlling stake. To what you were saying, PA, it was earlier this month, let's say 10 days ago, something like that. They had a Carlyle Group, which was a private equity firm. They pulled its $300 million from Lowry and Rodriguez, their group. Carlyle was not able to agree to certain requirements the NBA makes of investors, so it mutually agreed upon that Carlyle would withdraw. So now they don't have that final backing to complete the purchase.
Jeez.
So that's like 10 days ago. I'm reading this from a Krasinski piece on The Athletic. A day later, Dial Capital Partners joined the Lowry Rodriguez group. So a day later, they found somebody else with $300 million. And they submitted their paperwork on the 20th, it says, to complete the acquisition of a majority control of the Timberwolves and Lynx from Glenn Taylor. So that's multiple sources. That's Shams. That's Krasinski. That's everybody. So that's a week ago yesterday. That's 8 days ago. They submitted the paperwork. By all accounts, and then we've kind of read nothing since then. So I think this is kind of shocking that ultimately it fell through. And then the key here is that as part of the statement that the Wolves are no longer for sale. So not only is it a situation where it fell through, will there be another extension down the road? The way that the statement comes out, it's almost like, well, no, we're done with that. And then at the end, as part of it, here's from Glenn himself. I'll continue to work with Mark, Alex, and the rest of the ownership group to ensure our teams have the necessary resources to compete at the highest levels on and off the court. And then, as I mentioned, the Timberwolves and Lynx are no longer for sale. So what the hell happened in the last 8 days?
So did I see the statement correctly as well from Taylor saying that they actually had an option to file an extension?
There you go. Yes.
And that was, I think that deadline was set for yesterday.
Correct.
And they did not file the extension. So what is going on there too? Like if you feel like, okay, we're right there. Like we have new capital partners. We submitted the NBA. Maybe there's just some paperwork, some I's to be dotted, some T's to be crossed. Maybe we have to kind of like resubmit and kind of like, get in good with the NBA league office. Well, let's go ahead and do that. We still want to get this deal done. We have this extension that we can file. Why don't we go ahead and do that so we can get all this done? Why would you not file that extension? Are they not motivated anymore at all? Why wouldn't you? Like, that's the thing. You put so much into this.
Yeah, because that's
kind of fishy, right?
Well, that's not don't you know that it's tax season and then we got a lot of tax and I forgot. That's not an I forgot.
No.
So it's
and if it is, then you fire your lawyers. Like,
well, they
ASAP.
might be out. I mean,
I'm just saying that, like.
No, I'm saying they might be, like, because I'm thinking, all right, because everything's retrievable, okay, or everything is you can redeem this by letting all these deadlines pass, let everybody calm down, and then do whatever you need to do, and then get back in and, like, in one fell swoop, whap, it's our team. So I'm not doubting they can do that or somebody can do that, but this is ominous. There's no doubt. The missing deadlines in a situation like this makes the situation ominous in my estimation.
So according to SI, this is also from a week ago. So as part of that submitting paperwork, and this might be in Krasinski's piece too. Laurie and A-Rod purchased an initial 20% stake in the team in July 2021. And then they purchased another 20 in March of last year. So about a year ago this time.
So they got 40% of the team?
They have 40% of the team.
That's pretty
and
sweet.
once this process, if this had gone through, they would own 80%.
Oh, I see.
So this was the fat one. This was the 40% chunk that puts them over the top.
Okay.
And it's over. So
this is retrievable.
But to Ben's point, and again, we're speculating and just waiting for more information to come out. It is interesting that in the statement itself, under terms of the purchase agreement, and under certain circumstances, I should say, the buyer could have been entitled to a limited extension. However, those circumstances did not occur. So that's a very, I don't know what the hell that means. Other than that, there was an option potentially for an extension. Like Ben said. Yeah, let's just figure this out. Carlisle.
But we need 2 more weeks.
Yeah, correct. So Carlisle's out on whatever the NBA says as partial investors in this, we need XYZ from you. And I wonder what that means. Does that mean that they have to be liquid to a certain dollar amount for whatever reason? Are there certain expectations of the group to participate in certain things? And Carlisle's like, F that. I don't know. We're not doing it.
Yeah.
And if you think a day later you find another group that's on board, maybe some of those hoops had already been jumped through.
Yep.
When I call it, hey, Carlisle wouldn't do this. Will you do this? $300 million? Yeah, I'm in.
Wow.
Like couldn't that have been a phone call or something like that? So once and then you also still have a week to through submitting the final paperwork to get this thing through. So something went. The milk's gone bad. Something went sour there.
A question that I would have, and I don't like to hit people with top of the head hypotheticals because they're just virtually impossible to answer. But I think it's prevalent here. Does the NBA, are teams super profitable in the NBA the way they are? Maybe not like the NFL, but I mean, is it a print money situation if you own a team and the TV deals? There are going to be, I think, a couple of expansion teams eventually, at least. That might not be public, or is that public knowledge?
Well, I mean, but it's been floated around the idea of getting
Seattle and Vegas.
Correct. Okay, cool. Getting teams back to those markets.
Right. So therefore, owners scoop on that. So I mean, there are scoops from all over the place when you own a team. I'm just wondering what the profitability is owning a team in a market this size, with whatever the team. I don't know.
I have to think that it's not probably on a level that the NFL is, but I have to think that the NBA, yes, is a very lucrative business.
Is it cash flow lucrative now, or is it an investment into the future? Like when Steve Ballmer buys the Clippers, he buys them for billions of dollars. I forget who the guy was that they kind of forced out.
Donald Sterling.
There you go. So Ballmer now, via the newer TV deals, it's like the NBA is kind of slowly but surely playing that catch-up game of TV deals like the NFL, where you just get those, you want to talk about May Day, like May 1st, like a $300 million check shows up in the mail. That's sweet for the NFL. But franchise fees, like, are they truly as cash profitable as the NFL? But
no chance.
I think
they're cash profitable.
But I think to Ben's point, like, they're making some money. I mean, they have.
I have to think it's a net positive. If you have that sort of money, and let's just say if you have, whatever Rodriguez put his 20% in, you have to think that you've got enough money in your pockets. Your pockets are deep enough that you're not just waiting for any sort of dividend check from quarter to quarter on an investment like this. This is like, hey, I've got some play money. I want 20% in this professional team. I still have enough walking around money that I'm going to be fine for the rest of my life.
Yeah, it's not like a 10-year make it back type of thing.
Yeah. So I would say playing the long game. Look, this is a global game. I can't imagine that you would want to look at this situation like, that's not going to be a net positive. I think in the end, it's a net positive. I'm telling you right now, if I had the money, that's one of the first things I would do if I won that damn lottery.
Oh, that'd be so sweet.
It would be let me find the first professional NFL team or basketball to NBA team that I can slide in and get a little slice of that ownership. Give me a little something.
And secondly, hotline. Secondly, is hopefully people won't, so they still own 40% of the team, right? Okay. Laurie and Rodriguez.
Yep.
All right. So they keep the seats. First and foremost, they get the good seats, but they still own 40%. So, this, hopefully people's minds aren't going the way of, well, this is, can't have nice things in Minnesota. Finally get a good basketball team and a bona fide superstar in Ant, and now we got some flim flam with the ownership, and they're going to leave. They're going to relocate. They're going to North Carolina. That's foolhardy because relocation is never going to happen again.
No.
In probably all of the pro sports leagues, like Quebec going to Colorado, or Atlanta going to Calgary, or so-and-so moving wherever, because there ain't no cash in it for the owners. So, like, if you're going to get an NBA team popping up in Vegas and Seattle, which you are, well, the franchise fees, like you said, and the ability to hone in and hammer in on an untapped market, well, the profitability there is, they can have estimates and spreadsheets and abacus and all that, but it's unpredictable. Might be less, might be a lot more. With relocation, owners ain't relocating anybody.
Yeah, as a fan, I'm not worried about that. My question is, though, from a mathematics standpoint, just simple percentages. Do they have to come up with another 40% to take 8? Does 80%? What is the deal with 80% of ownership to have controlling stake? Don't they really only need to come up with 51% of the remaining, another 11%?
Well, unless Boss Taylor, because that would be his decision. Him and his investing group.
I understand that.
That's a lot of money, man.
There's got to be some wiggle room in there that, do they have to come up with another 20% stake? Right. Can it be 11% to put them over the 51% threshold? And these two guys and this new entity now has true controlling stake of the Timberwolves. I don't understand, why does it have to be an 80% takeover of the company?
What do I look like, Charles Schwab?
I always love that one.
Yeah,
no idea.
And that's where
I just hope it doesn't impact Ant's mind when they play Denver tomorrow and get into the playoffs. That's
where I'm kind of running out of gas on this in the near term in terms of I've
been playing tag with E for the last 7 minutes.
Same here. The value of the team, since they got into the deal in 2021, has the $1.5 billion purchase price agreement. Is that locked in from their original date of contract?
Oh, geez.
Because there's potential here. Well, my point is that over the last 2.5 years, the value of the franchise would naturally continue to increase.
Yeah.
And so how does that play into things? Is this a situation now where now that the deal's dead, do we start to see over the next couple of years that A-Rod and Lori slowly back out of their 40%? Like now that's back on the table. You won't let us buy the whole thing.
Yeah.
So now we're just going to make 15, 20% on our ownership stakes, and we're just going to go try and find another avenue. Like it's just maybe if franchising is potentially on the table, expanding franchises in the NBA, what if they start to dip out of this, and suddenly a year from now you start hearing them in talks about Seattle? We were all worried that they were going to move the team somewhere as soon as they took over.
Where did A-Rod play? I mean, look at how all this is developing. Oh, Seattle's going to have a team?
Right on the side of the Kingdom, baby.
Yeah, let me, yes, I do have an active working cell phone number for both Ken Griffey Jr. and Mark Langston. And let's chat with them under the cover of darkness. Maybe Jay Buhner, too. I don't know.
Yeah, so it's just, but that's shocking to me. Like, this seemed like it was all but done. And then even a week ago, the mad dash efforts to produce the capital necessary.
Yeah.
It's crazy, man.
I gotta think that they all, if you're doing enough due diligence and investigating whether or not you can buy ownership, 80% stake in an NBA team, you knew when this was being figured out, let's call it 4 years ago, 5 years ago, maybe you're putting some thoughts and you're talking to some people. You know that the NBA is going to expand into Seattle and London. This is not new news to you. If you're Alex Rodriguez, this is not new news. You're like, oh, they're going to have a new franchise in Seattle. BS, dude. You should have known that a long time ago. So I wouldn't personally look at this like, oh, this might be an opportunity to pull out of this current deal. I don't know, man. Like, I do think it's fishy because the lack of extension makes it seem like they're not motivated anymore to do the deal.
Big time.
But what are the reasons why? I don't know. And I guess we're going to find out.
I mean, but if indeed that piece of speculation is accurate, and I'm not one to say it's not. I like how you laid it out. Selling 40% of 1.5, 1.9 billion, that ain't the easiest thing in the world. You're not going to walk to center court and go to Lifetime Fitness guy who sold all of whatever for X amount and be like, hey, can you get our back? Nah, that's a lot. I mean, not everybody, I don't care how rich you are, is just going to roll up and be like, sure, here's $700 million for your 40%. I mean,
and I agree. And it sounds like the NBA,
they might be stuck.
It sounds like the NBA, obviously, they have some pretty strict parameters on who they want to have to be owners of these teams.
Well, apparently, if Leber or I won the lottery, we would 100% give $700 million to own an NBA team.
That would be a cinch.
I'm not saying I'd take that whole percentage. I would just like to slide in, like, here's $100 million. What can I get?
Can I get my feet on the floor every night?
What percentage for $100 million and some courtside seats?
Shoot, I mean, my first $1 million goes to Atlantic Records so I can play Bootsy Collins music. So we'll just settle that right there.
I just want to be able to play my own songs again.
Why'd you give Capitol Music $1.5 million? Because I miss Stevie, as in Stevie Wonder. So that's where the first two investments would go. All right, let's. So that's just for those who jumped into this weird conversation like 5 minutes ago. The first paragraph of that release or whatever you have in front of you. Share the A topic, please.
The A topic is that as of now, the Timberwolves are no longer for sale in terms of majority ownership. Glenn Taylor staying in the driver's seat. Mark Lori, A-Rod own 40% collectively over the last 2.5 years. But the final sale, the option to get that final 40% over the finish line expired yesterday. No extension. And Glenn Taylor says we're moving forward.
Twin season commences today, beloved Ben. So is the Twin Cities Live vibe best ways to prepare hot dogs and nachos?
No.
Major League Baseball season?
No.
Helmet nachos.
Got that nice kitchen in there and everything.
Boy, I love me some helmet nachos.
Helmet nachos with sauce. I mean, that's a 2-for-1 special.
Is it odd that when I go to the stadium and I get those damn helmet nachos, I do feel a little judged?
Well, really? You do?
Yeah.
Oh, take your shirt off and the judging will end.
I'm just saying, that's a lot of shows.
I know.
It's a lot of.
No, I'm the one that gets judged, but I always say it's for my kids, guys.
Yeah.
It's for my kids.
Yeah.
And a month from today with the NFL draft, man, it's I've thought so much more about 11 and 23 and the Vikings in the first round and stuff like that than I have with drafts in the past, at least the recent past. I mean, I kind of can't stop thinking about it, and I'm glad the weekend's coming up so I can focus on different things. Yeah, the Wolves are going to, it's like a month from now, we're going to have the NFL draft and the draft show at US Bank Stadium. And hopefully the Wolves, with this conversation to the side, are playing in the second round of the playoffs. Because it's like April, whatever the draft is, April 25th when it starts. It's about when the second round starts to begin. I mean, the getting might be good here in a minute, Mr. Ben Leber.
I can't wait for that. I really genuinely get giddy thinking about that night and all the possibilities. I get excited about draft night all the time.
Me too.
And I've said this before.
It's different this year.
It's different this year. I never got invested emotionally in the draft when I was a player because I never wanted to see it broadcast on national TV that someone was taking your job. That's not fun.
Well, you have OTAs and mini camp and training camp to make it a competition, Ben. But anyway.
Well, in my situation, I made it a competition for a couple of weeks in the season, and then it gave way to Sean Merriman. So
I fought many times to go find the highlight of Goodell calling his name. I never did it.
Merriman?
Never did it. Merriman, yeah.
Thank God. So anyway, I've gotten so much more invested in the whole process. I'm talking from players that we're maybe not even interested in, just all of the fodder, all of the speculation, all of the team needs. I mean, the thing is, when you look at these drafts, when you really break it down all by teams and stuff like that, it's amazing when you look back at what you thought a team was going to do going into the draft with their draft needs, this is a priority, this is not. And then you go revisit previous drafts. It's such a crapshoot. You think that you know what a team is going to do. You think you know that the team's they need defensive linemen, and they go out and get a wide receiver. Right. Oh, you think and then so it's just fun. It's really fun to just banter with because nobody really knows.
Well, let's close this segment with this. You can chew on it. We'll come back and discuss it. Kevin O'Connell joined 9 to noon on Tuesday, and we had an elongated conversation. And I asked him about Drake May, J.J. McCarthy, and here's what he said with the question posed this way about LSU quarterback Jaden Daniels. Is Jaden the kind of guy who can you win from the pocket with Jaden, or does he have to be like Jalen and get out there and run around and stuff like that? And he gave us a cool answer.
No, I think he absolutely can. I think he's proven that. When you really dive into his tape, that's one of the exciting things about a player like Jaden Daniels is, that clearly he's a guy that when he does take off, and a lot of times his best, most impactful plays running the football come as an extension of passing plays where, he's gone through a progression. He's exhausted 1 to 2 to 3. And then with really good technique and fundamentals, ball security, able to climb up and out of the pocket. And really when he takes off from that point, there's really no angle that's safe for a defender because of the speed that he has in the open field. Clearly he's going to have to be smart about when he has the football in his hands, not being the biggest, strongest guy in the world. He's going to have to be smart about it to maintain his ability to stay on the field. He knows that, he's proven that in his Heisman Trophy season that he's got the ability to do that. He's definitely an exciting prospect, and he goes, whether you're talking about Jaden or some of these other guys in the draft, I think those are the types of things. Each guy kind of has, maybe different strengths and things that they're going to hang their hat on, but all of them, I do think when you're talking about some of these guys at the top of the draft and where that line is drawn, we'll kind of keep that between the folks inside the walls of our building and for right now. But I can tell you I'm very excited about not only Jaden, but the potential of a lot of these guys that will be in the mix to maybe become Minnesota Vikings.
KOC, head coach of the Vikings, Tuesday from 9 to noon. Podcast at KFAN.com. It's Love Covenant on demand. Bullseye! We'll get Ben's thoughts on what Kevin said and get into some more football-related stuff. Don't forget, our draft party show is a month from today at US Bank Stadium. And I think we're back on the big stage in the West End Zone after a year relegated to the Delta Club. The reasoning being, as rumor has it, women 18 to 34 in attendance. Well, the attendance was way down because Leber was not on the big stage.
He's got big balls.
We're going to fix that this year. Be right back.
The Fan.
That Kevin O'Connell piece on Jaden Daniels. What'd you think?
Sounds like our head coach is doing a lot of film watching on all these guys.
Right.
Like he's making sure that he's watching all these guys that I'm sure that he knows that he's probably not going to have a good chance to go get this kid.
Yeah. Kevin gives phenomenal answers.
He really does.
He'll get close enough.
Yeah, he does.
There's a lot on which to chew because he's like in this and this and this.
Yeah.
But he's got to hold on to that football. He's kind of slight of frame. Well, then it goes the other side. Like, oh, wow, he's skinny. Maybe he fumbles. I mean, he gives you a lot to think about.
Well, he's always very thoughtful because I think he always tries to give a really genuine answer. I think we all understand, the public should understand that GMs and coaches of every league, they're not obligated to give you every detail to these questions.
Yeah.
And so you appreciate the ones that are genuine. They're trying to answer the question. They're trying to respect the question and respect the media. But we all know as a public that we know you're not going to give away all your secrets. That'd be dumb. Like, we wouldn't want that. Like, I wouldn't want him to be so honest that he's giving away any sort of plans and anything like that. So,
well, though, just not to clip, but like the questions I asked about May, J.J. McCarthy, and Jaden Daniels, and he gave minimum 90-second answers on each of them.
Yeah,
I'm just being straight with you. By whether it's listening to you do post game stuff with a coach or me with the X's and O's. Weekly tape on Tuesday, play on Wednesday. I wouldn't ask those questions to Zimmer. I would not have asked them to Mike. I probably would not have asked them to Leslie. Definitely would not have asked them to Childress. But Kevin, we work so closely with him that there's a trust factor where he knows if you ask it's because it's hot, it's percolating, it's boiling over with a lot of fans. And they're pining to hear him share anything about these three guys. So the media / fan appeasing or pleasing part of it, Kevin really, really gets.
Well, that's what I was going to say in response. Like, he gets it. Like, he knows, he did a short stint in media. Like, he knows that there's a job to do. He knows that the fans are asking questions and we're sort of that conduit to the fans. And so you want to try to ask the same questions a fan would ask without digging into something and being like, really, that's all you've got? Like, you got to give us more than that. Like, no, we'll just ask the question. It's not controversial. That's the other thing. Like, we're talking the NFL draft. Everybody knows that we don't have a future franchise quarterback on the roster right now. So it is the A topic. And so it's not like you're asking, really, really deep controversial questions. It's like, hey, this is what's on everybody's mind. How do you feel about these three players? And I love the fact that he understands that. He's genuine with his answers. And you can tell, he's doing his due diligence. He's obviously watched probably every snap in the last 2 years of all these guys. So he is a true expert on what he can say.
Now, when it comes to age of quarterbacks, rookie quarterbacks, that's it. This is not popping up like publicly or nationally or anything. It's just I'm chatting with more people that I or we would know around the league, not associated with here, just to try to get some nuggets or tidbits. Like I chatted with somebody 2 days ago, maybe 3 days ago, or over the weekend, and it just I knew this. I knew Arizona had 4-27. But then it was put in front of me like, well, do you think 11-23 and next year's first, maybe with something ancillary, would be good enough to get whomever? All right. Well, so then, or so then, but then you get 27. You know what I'm saying? So like, or is there a way to move up to 4 and not give 23, but give 4 other things?
Sure.
Just starting to think about a lot of things like that. But somebody a couple of days ago was chatting with me about ages of rookie quarterbacks, and I shared a little bit right before you came in.
Yeah, I think I believe McCarthy's the youngest.
He is.
Yeah.
McCarthy doesn't turn 22.
Yeah, he just turned 21, I think, in January.
2 months ago. Yeah, exactly. Penix is 23. Jaden Daniels, 22. He'll be 23 around Thanksgiving. And then McCarthy, 21, 22 in or May in August. I mean, that McCarthy, I don't care if Michael Penix is 23. I don't care. Daniels played longer at Arizona State than I thought. Then you get the transfer bit and everything. So we're probably a year off schedule with him. What opened my eyes was what J.J. McCarthy did against high-end college football players at age 19. At 19 and 20. Damn. Look at that boy go.
Well, and I think that's why, and I think Bo Nix might be the oldest of the whole group. I think that's why everybody looks at him as having such a high ceiling. Is what's he going to look like with more opportunities to throw the football? Maybe not being an offense if you're talking about the Vikings.
Oh, geez. Bo Nix is going to be 25 during the season. Oh, no, wait. He just turned 24. So, yeah. So if the Vikings go to the Super Bowl, he'll be 25 right around the Super Bowl. Damn, man. He's of the elderly variety. Okay?
Yeah. He's that's correct. Yeah, he's the oldest of that group. So I think that's why he has such a high ceiling, and that's why everybody thinks he has a high ceiling, is because he has so much more growing to do. He's got to grow in and kind of grow into his man body a little bit. I mean, you don't really hit your physical prime until mid-20s and mid-late 20s. So if he can show all this progress at the highest level in college football, and he's going to get more opportunities to throw the ball, most likely in the NFL. I mean, you're not going to be as maybe run heavy, especially with the teams that are going to select him, not as run heavy as he was in Michigan.
Yeah.
There's just a lot of opportunities for growth there. I get all that. But I think, to me personally, it's the one position where age really doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I mean, I actually think that there is something to, if you want a guy to especially start in year one, there's something to having an older quarterback that's a little bit more mature, that has gone through the ringer a little bit. That's why a lot of people like Penix's situation, because he's got a big arm, he's got great mobility, great pocket awareness, and he's been through it. He's been through some S now. Like that whole resilience piece that The Athletic did a couple months ago, I really think that matters. And I really think that people, when they look back at the success of past draft picks, first rounders, one of the markers for success is, have you been through it?
Yeah.
Have you been challenged enough personally, whether it's injury or failure, and your ability to lead a football team through all of that? That shows more. That actually translates more into the NFL than a guy like a Caleb Williams, where have you ever faced real adversity?
Right.
Like on the football field.
Interesting you said that, because I'm rattling off some takes and talkers, just things on which we can chew for the next month. And I'm like, are we sure Caleb Williams is the first overall pick? I mean, yeah, he's a 1-9 favorite, and he most 90% will be the first overall pick. But the things that are being laid out about Caleb, and now Trevor Lawrence he's not going to run you. He's not going to run you to the money. Caleb might run you to the money. But I'm reading a lot of the same can't miss, cinch, first since this, whatever. Well, Trevor's good. Trevor's not as good as everybody said he would be when it was the biggest first overall cinch ever,
I agree. And I think that's a good comp when it comes to just how their path has been laid out. Trevor coming out of Georgia was the number, the talk of all high school football as well. He goes to Clemson. He wins a national title. Did he really face any adversity? He's always been, put on the pedestal, always saying that he's going to be this and he's going to be that. And I'm with you. I think that he's actually one of the more overrated quarterbacks in the league. I think that he's good. I don't think that he is necessarily I don't think he's a top, 14 quarterback maybe? Jeez. He's good. He's just not great.
Man, I got so much rich and meaty for you, but we had that Timberwolves clipping penalty. Let's end with this a minute. You get it all. I'm saying Drake May is the best pocket passer of them all in the draft. Mm-hmm. He's the most Cousins-esque of them all in the draft, except he moves a little better. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, until we see the accuracy in the throwing them open, and does he bounce back from 15 hits during a game, all of the Kirk O'Chain's qualities and traits that we came to know. But if Drake May is the best pocket passer in the draft, if he is, I mean, you know how KOC likes to roll here. You know how he likes to run things here, man. I mean, then I got to make him favored of X amount of quarterbacks if they are to move up. You think that's fair?
You think that? Would you move up for? How do you have him and JJ McCarthy?
I can't answer that yet. I mean, it's razor thin. It's too low.
I think that's the issue that I think a lot of people.
JJ's a badass, man.
JJ's a bad dude, man. I like his confidence in himself. You know, he's definitely has that Aaron Rodgers quality to him where he's.
You said that a month ago, and I've now watched him with head on a swivel, breaking the pocket, running right, and firing lasers to guys middle of the field, throwing them open while JJ's moving and running. I'm like, that's A-Rod, man.
He's also got the A-Rod Zen factor to him too. You know, so he's you got to think about how. It's not a difficult situation, but you're at a major university. You're the face and the spokesperson for Michigan football, and you are a granola, crunchy, earthy.
Is he?
Yes.
Oh wow.
He's a Buddha Zen type of guy that he embraces that sort of that meditative state and all. That's good. You know, he's not afraid to go against a grain. And I think that's a great quality to have as a quarterback because you're going to face a lot of criticism.
I see what you're saying.
And people are going to criticize you, for what you can do on the field, but people are also going to criticize you for who you are as a person. If he's like, this is who I am. I don't care. Like I like that quality about him. Drake May has, I believe, his pro day today.
Yep.
Look, we've seen what happens in a pro day. I think pro days are largely ridiculous. You're throwing to guys that are not being covered. You're not getting pressured. It's a completely choreographed thing, right? We all understand that. So it's largely ridiculous. JJ McCarthy blew it out of the water. Everybody's like, my gosh, he could go number 2 to Washington.
Right.
Let's see.
He could.
Let's see what happens when Drake May has a choreographed workout.
Oh yeah.
You know, let's see what happens in the next 48 hours when everybody gets a chance to take a look at this film. It'll be really interesting. The other thing I'll point out before we go is when people are talking about the quarterbacks, I think a lot of people they want to get married to one or two quarterbacks, and they want to say like, well, Penix is better than JJ. Oh, Daniels is better than Caleb. When you say those things, I think in this particular class, you're not saying that the other guy is going to be a washout.
Yeah.
I truly believe that these guys all might be hits. Now, some guy might be a Hall of Famer. One guy might make an All-Pro. I think there's a good chance that all of them will make a Pro Bowl.
Yeah.
Now that doesn't mean much these days with Pro Bowls being the way they are.
I know what you mean.
But I think that they're all really, really good.
Yes.
So you're not saying that, hey, I like this guy, it means the other guy's toilet water.
You are the absolute bomb. You're on TV today, right?
Yes, we're going to be at the Sunshine Factory, actually, in Plymouth today. We're doing a Twin Cities Live in Your Town event.
Sweet.
If you'd like to come out, it's a free show. There's no tickets necessary. No, you don't have to sign up or register or anything. Just show up at Sunshine Factory. We're going to be there at 3 p.m.
3 to 4:30 for TCL. Yeah, wait. Great having you back, Chad, next week.
All right, thanks, man.
Ben Leber at Nacho Leber via the X Machine, and we'll be right back.
Welcome back, 9 to noon. News to Nord brought to you by The Casino at Canterbury Park, CanterburyPark.com for all event details. Live racing, it's right around the corner. Minnesota Timberwolves, we chatted about it last hour, at the beginning of this hour, I should say, with Ben Leber in studio. News dropping this morning, the Krasinski tweet that said that the Wolves, well, they're no longer for sale. So what does that mean? Well, Mark Laurie, Alex Rodriguez had been minority owners, and over the last 2.5 years or so have purchased in two 20% chunks, 40% minority ownership of the Wolves. And, well, all that was needed was a financing group and a bunch more money, and they were going to grab that fat 40% chunk, make them massive majority owners, and take the Wolves and the keys to the building out of the hands of Glenn Taylor. Well, it didn't happen. This statement here is the expiration of the option of Mark Lowry and Alex Rodriguez to acquire controlling interest in the Timberwolves and the Lynx. It is passed. Under the terms of the agreement, closing was required to occur within 90 days following the exercise notice issued by Lowry and Rodriguez. A 90-day period expired yesterday, as in March 27th. They note in the statement, this is straight from the team, that the buyer could have been entitled to a limited extension under certain circumstances. However, these circumstances did not occur. Said Taylor, Glenn Taylor, I'll continue to work with Mark, Alex, and the rest of the ownership group to ensure our teams have the necessary resources to compete at the highest levels on and off the court. Timberwolves and Lynx are no longer for sale. So we talked a bit about it, I guess in some ways floated some ideas in terms of what was going on. And then I saw this Woj tweet. PA.
Oh, geez.
This is from 1022. The relationship between Taylor and his successors, that being Lowry and Rodriguez, disintegrated over the past 2 years plus, sources tell ESPN. Lowry and Rodriguez did raise money necessary to purchase controlling interest. So that's key. So
that's major.
The capital bit we were talking about last week, it goes from Carlisle. They won't agree to certain things. They bounce, and then it's on to Dial or Dial Capital. They had the cash, but Taylor contends, as this tweet ends, Taylor contends that they didn't meet contractual deadlines throughout transition. So failing or rotting relationship, and then you miss that deadline, and wow. Taylor's thinking, I guess maybe you guys are jerks. Get out of here. I don't want to deal with it, so I'm keeping the team.
And see, if Woj is right, and who's to say he's not? He's always right. Does that mean Boss Taylor has some form of concern that maybe there was an agenda with them purchasing the majority I don't know.
Right.
It's a deal. A deal is a deal. And generally it's, having, quote, a relationship disintegrate. Define disintegrate. I mean, that's unless you know what happened and what disintegrated and like how bad it got. Well, I mean, it could be a myriad of things. But I mean, if you're dead set on selling the team, and now you got Woj saying they had requisite cash, but there was a deadline miss, which is weird and ominous, and now there's not a sale. Well, this is starting to darken. This is starting to have some subterfuge to it.
Yeah, it might be a big day for Bump and John Krasinski or somebody that can dig into this as the day unfolds. The thing is, though, is if they agree to the purchase price, they have the money. Maybe it is Glenn Taylor using the, I don't want to say that is he being shrewd? What is the word? I'm just completely blanking right now. The idea that he was going to hold their feet to the fire over the minutia of deadlines.
Yeah.
So it's like relationship disintegrates, but we're going to ultimately get this deal done. Everything is kind of on track, but then they miss a deadline. It becomes an opportunity for Glenn Taylor to be punitive or personal about it in one way. He's like, I just don't want to do business with these guys.
I think it's fair speculation. A deadline is a deadline.
Yeah.
So you're going to get in conversations like this, you're going to get a lot of people being like, well, you got a lot of cash, so you should be able to do this.
Right.
Well, you have no idea we have no idea where their money is, what they use it for. We have no idea. I never go down the road of what somebody else has and how I believe it should go. I think that's foolish. But
if you watch like DuckTales and you see Scrooge McDuck diving into that vault of gold coins, that must be how every billionaire must just be liquid for billions of dollars, right? They can just write a check. Isn't that how it works? A duffel bag of cash?
I mean, this deal,
not?
If we're going to go the way of cartoons, this deal has gone the way of Roadrunner chasing whomever to the edge of the cliff, and like they both go off the cliff and the whole thing just blows up and it's dead.
Yeah, Wile E. Coyote taking
Wile E.
it
Coyote,
out.
thank you. But wow, this whole thing just baffles me.
It does.
Yeah, it baffles me, and quite honestly, let's get to the Rube related. Like, what are some things to which we can relate? All right. Well, the Wolves are going to the playoffs.
That's sweet.
This is no form of a distraction to any of the players and probably not the coach or coaches.
I hope it wouldn't be.
And they're not going to be relocated because relocation is no longer a thing because the owners can't scoop chips.
Well, but on the that goes to the relationship side of it as well. Is even if Laurie and Rodriguez wanted to potentially move the team down the road, and that was part of conversations, Glenn's not giving it to a team or a new owner that wants to move it. If expansion is on the horizon, the NBA themselves would have a say in the idea of, no, you guys, we're not having you move it to Seattle.
Well,
because we're going to have a new group in, and we're going to have them pay $500 million in franchise fees.
Yeah.
And so you're going to sit in Minnesota and you're going to take a cut of the check and you're going to deal with it.
Relocation goes to a vote. And it's like the NFL with the owners' meetings and the kickoff and rule changes.
Yeah.
A majority has to say yes. A majority is not going to say yes to relocation of a team. And oh, by the way, we get nothing out of it. So it's a headache. It's not going to happen. But the deadline, I don't care if somebody's being petulant, somebody's being petty, somebody's being fair, somebody's being super business savvy. If you agree to a deadline specifically with something the magnitude of this and you don't hit it, you either have chosen not to hit it, and for some reason that's going to help you with leverage, or you were not able to hit it because you didn't have the financial wherewithal. The latter seemingly has been handled by what Woj wrote, where they had the cash.
Says they had the money.
So now it's so why did they choose to not hit one of these two deadlines, Laurie and or Rodriguez? I think that's the big question for me. But I mean, it's not enough. I couldn't care less, quite honestly. I just want the whole thing to come out in the wash, the squad to be good, and for us to have something fun to follow in the postseason.
Well, you're just mad you're not going to be able to sit next to A-Rod at any more Wolves games. I mean, it's some once in a while, like understanding. You know, it was a cool experience. Yeah. He's showing you his swing while he's sitting in the seat. Like, that was probably a really cool thing. And at least maybe moving forward, are they going to be feet on the floor next home game?
Well, from my standpoint, since you put it in, I'll figure out the name of Lifetime Fitness guy by the next home game. But secondly, I think this is controversial. What's up, Leo? I think there's some controversy to this.
It's Barama karate.
One way or another.
Barama karate.
Right.
Keep that in your back pocket for your next opportunity to sit courtside. There's a lot of. We got Twins opening day today. Wild tonight. We had John Hines on, and so many different things. Sweet 16's in play this evening. Wolves ownership. Pets heads falling off, and
Drake May Pro Day
and Gophers hockey have an opportunity via their Hunt for the Frozen Four, which will be at XL Energy Center. They're in Sioux Fu, trying to handle business later this evening, PA.
Puck drop 7:30 from Sioux Falls, and they take on the Nebraska Omaha Mavericks. To discuss that and much more, our longtime friend Jordan Leopold. He'll be in studio momentarily. You, by the way, can listen to those games at Twin Cities News Talk, AM 1130, and also via the free iHeartRadio app. Wilder on the Big Bird tonight at 7, but catch Sky Yuma on AM 1130, and also the free iHeartRadio app. Back after this.